You're falling asleep. Everything feels calm. Your body grows heavier, your breathing slows, your thoughts start to blur into each other. And then, out of nowhere, you fall. A sharp jolt rips through your entire body, from your chest to the tips of your fingers. Your heart pounds like you just barely escaped a real disaster. You open your eyes a split second before hitting the ground that was never actually there. Sound familiar? This happens to almost everyone on the planet, even though most people never stop to ask why. Scientists call it a hypnagogic jerk or sleep myoclonus. It sounds clinical, but the idea is simple. Your body suddenly twitches at the exact moment it should be relaxing the most. And this isn't some random glitch happening quietly at the edges of your body. It happens right at command central, inside the brain itself, in a fraction of a second. It all starts with a transition between states. When you fall asleep, your brain doesn't just switch off like a light. It shifts gradually between modes, like a ship slowly changing course out at sea. Some regions are already preparing for sleep, dialing down activity, letting go of muscle control. Others are still watching the outside world, like a guard reluctant to leave his post. It's in that narrow border zone, somewhere between being awake and being asleep, that the signal most often gets crossed. British sleep researcher Ian Oswald was one of the first scientists to describe this phenomenon in detail, back in 1959. He noticed something specific. Muscles sometimes relax too fast and too suddenly, all at once. And the brain, which is actively tracking the body's position in space at that exact moment, misreads that sudden loss of muscle tone as one very clear signal: falling. Picture yourself walking down a staircase in total darkness. You're certain there's one more step. There isn't. Your body reacts instantly and purely on instinct, before your conscious mind even has time to process what happened. Your leg jerks, your arms shoot up looking for something to grab. Something very similar happens as you fall asleep, except instead of a missing step, it's the sense of your own body in space that disappears, and the fall exists only in electrical signals inside your brain. But why would the brain even be capable of creating something this vivid, this physically convincing, out of nothing at all? Here's where the story takes a genuinely surprising turn. Evolutionary psychologist Frederick Coolidge proposed a theory that flips the whole idea on its head. He suggested that this reflex was inherited from very distant ancestors, primates who slept high up in the branches of trees. Millions of years ago, our ancestors spent their nights up there, hiding from predators hunting on the ground below. Sleeping at height was genuinely risky business. One wrong moment of muscles relaxing too deeply, too fast, and the fall was real, not imagined, with the most serious possible consequences. Natural selection, it seems, wasn't kind to individuals whose brains let the body go slack too far and too quickly at exactly the wrong moment of the night. So nature may have left behind a kind of built-in watchdog, wired straight into the nervous system millions of years ago. A sudden drop in muscle tone gets read by ancient, evolutionarily old parts of the brain as a direct threat to survival. The body tenses and jerks instantly, as if grabbing at a branch that, in reality, hasn't existed for a very long time. Sounds like something out of science fiction? But reflexes like this, inherited from distant ancestors and long since stripped of any practical use in the modern world, show up in the human body constantly. Think about how you flinch and squeeze your eyes shut at a sudden bright flash of light, before you've even had time to register what happened. Or how your hand yanks itself away from a hot surface faster than the pain even reaches your conscious mind. The brain seems to like covering its bases in advance, even when the actual danger vanished from daily life a long time ago. Modern sleep researcher Matthew Walker, author of widely known scientific work on the neuroscience of sleep and its critical role in human health, offers a different, complementary explanation, one rooted in the mechanics of the sleep transition itself. According to him, the brain during sleep onset is essentially arguing with itself, like two captains on the same ship. Some regions are already issuing clear commands for deep relaxation and gradual descent into sleep. Others keep the body on high alert, as if they don't quite trust the shutdown process yet. This brief internal conflict creates a short burst of desynchronization between different brain regions. And that desynchronization, according to Walker, is what produces the sharp jolt that yanks you back into waking reality, just an instant before you would have fully and completely drifted off. Interestingly, this jerk doesn't happen every single night, and not with the same intensity for everyone. It shows up noticeably more often when you're more exhausted than usual, or when you're genuinely sleep deprived. It gets stronger if you've had too much coffee or any other stimulant before bed. Stress and a day's worth of built-up anxiety also clearly raise how often, and how hard, these jolts hit at night. So it turns out your body, in this moment, isn't just reacting to the act of falling asleep itself. It's reacting to all the tension you built up over the day, even after you've closed your eyes, let your thoughts go, and seemingly relaxed completely. So what's happening to your consciousness in that exact moment? The brain, catching a sudden, sharp falling signal, often doesn't stop at just the muscle jolt on its own. It almost instantly builds an entire short but vivid scene around that sensation. You clearly see a cliff edge, a staircase missing its last step, a chasm opening up right beneath your feet. This isn't a random coincidence, and it isn't imagination firing off on its own. The dream is built around a physical sensation that already exists, not the other way around, which is what most people assume. That's exactly why a falling dream is almost never long or detailed, unlike so many other, far more tangled dreams. It's usually a short, bright, almost cinematic flash, followed almost immediately by a sharp, clear-headed awakening with your heart pounding. Now take a second and think back to your ordinary night. You climb under warm blankets in complete physical safety, in an apartment maybe 10 floors up in a modern building. There isn't a single predator anywhere nearby. There isn't a single branch you could actually fall from in this world. But your brain, it seems, is still living by rules written millions of years ago, for entirely different survival conditions. It's still methodically, faithfully guarding you against a danger that stopped existing in your everyday 21st century life a long time ago. So the next time you jerk awake right at the edge of sleep, startled by something you can't quite name, remember this: it isn't a malfunction, and it isn't something to worry about. It's a faint echo of an ancient instinct that once genuinely saved your distant ancestor's life, asleep high in a tree under a star-filled night sky. You're falling asleep. Everything feels calm. And somewhere deep inside you, right at that moment, an ancient ancestor wakes up, still afraid of falling from a branch that no longer exists.